So the truth is that Magdalene was actually a spiritually authoritative, sexually integrated, powerful high priestess woman. So in 591 AD, Pope Gregory I helped popularize the idea that Mary Magdalene and Mary of Bethany and the unnamed sinful woman were the same person. But more importantly, what changes when the multidimensional womb, sacred sexuality, divine feminine wisdom, motherhood, sensuality and pleasure, and eternal source consciousness field are finally allowed to be felt, seen, and heard, and embodied, and come together again in one body, embodied? Do you see why certain institutions would want to try to cut off the divine mothers from the body and insert an intermediary? What's up, beautiful souls? Welcome to another episode of the TSP Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful, misunderstood archetypes in the history of humanity, Mary Magdalene. She was never a fallen woman. What if the dark feminine was never dark? What if she was actually so powerful, so integrated, that they had to try to change her history because she was that powerful? What if the womb was never just an organ for reproduction? What if the womb was a sacred, multidimensional gateway and stargate that brings in 12th level avatars into physical creation? What if the clitoris was not just for pleasure, but also functioned like a multidimensional, eternal conscious ecstasy spark plug, which energizes multidimensionally the body, the nervous system, and consciousness? What if humanity was given two set of impossible choices for the divine feminine? Be like Mother Mary and surrender your sexuality. Virgin, holy. Or become like Magdalene and surrender your holiness. What if the dark feminine was never evil, but a silent, still, creative womb from which all manifestation and matter is birthed from? But more importantly, what changes when the multidimensional womb, sacred sexuality, divine feminine wisdom, motherhood, sensuality and pleasure, and eternal source consciousness field are finally allowed to be felt, seen, and heard, and embodied, and come together again in one body, embodied? I was first introduced to this concept when I was deprogramming religiosity. And I was introduced to a book called the Magdalene Manuscripts, where this channeled version of a archetype that was supposed to be Magdalene started writing about its experience of how, from Magdalene's perspective, what she felt, saw, and heard, and how at night, the person that the Bible knows as Yeshua or Jeshua 9 in the eternal life teachings and perspective would come, and she was a powerful high priestess initiated into the sacred sciences of sacred energy exchange, and how this sexuality was actually a beautiful, most powerful creative force, and how she understood Yeshua's mission, and how Yeshua would pour out to her. They had to meet kind of not in secret, but at night, because it was not allowed at that time for this embodied, sacred, sensual, powerful priestess, embodied, multidimensional, to practice openly. And Joshua would come and they would do these sacred energetic practices. And there was human love, but there was divine love, fully human, fully divine. And they would raise the Kundalini through these sacred practices, which she writes about in the book, and raise the energy, dimension 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I understand, from the bottom of the spine all the way up into the third eye, into the heart. And that they would have this charge their auric fields together, and 2 would become 1, 2 plus 1. 3, Holy Trinity, and they would merge with eternal source consciousness field and charge their auric fields so that they could accomplish and synergize together on their mission. And it was interesting. I was like, wow, like I remember reading this perspective, and it was so different than what the Bible had told when I was a youth pastor, a Christian youth pastor. And I remember reading it one day, and I was like, whoa, like my cells were vibrating and oscillating. And I was like, wow, this is going to be so important for consciousness to understand the truth about what sensuality and sexuality and sacred sexuality is. It's a sacred multi-dimensional portal and tool to merge and to catalyze higher identity accretion. In fact, it's such a powerful tool that certain forces and institutions tried to change the narrative and the story and suppress and repress it and create shame and guilt and around it, and to glorify those who cut themselves off from this energy as nuns, as priests. And when you cut yourselves off from this energy, it gets suppressed and repressed and has nowhere to go and comes out in different forms of expressions, perversion happening behind closed doors in secret. But the truth will set us free. And from this perspective, I started to this seed started to come inside of me, like something was awakening inside of me. And this desire to practice sacred energy exchange in its original eternal life. Base 12 aligned, Kathara grid aligned, mathematical, connected to source to catalyze the embodiment of the higher identity avatar inner Christos Sophia self, as Yeshua and Magdalene exemplified. Desire began to arise within me. And then I started to learn the woman is the key. Behind every great man is a greater womb, man. A womb. We're all born from a sacred womb. And I started to learn, and remember is the right word. When a woman feels safe and loved, which takes a lot of work, man, to deprogram. Nobody's fault, no judgment. We were programmed from a young age to believe that the woman is to objectify, to desire, to want, to take, to lust. And so as we begin to identify and deprogram and bring into awareness and reintegrate and forgive, and it's not about getting rid of or suppressing, it's about bringing all those parts back into wholeness. And as we begin to do that work, eventually we come into this space and frequency where we can hold a auric field around for a woman to begin feeling protected and safe and loved. And that is the first step. And when a woman can feel that, there begins to be what is called gates. And the woman is the key. It's like literally a stargate. The sacred womb is a multi-dimensional stargate. And in MCO Freedom Teachings, creation operates through a precise 15-dimensional scalar grid structure known as the Kathara grid, which I wear this shirt every single week to show you guys. And the biological female womb is not just an organ for physical reproduction, yes, 3D. It's literally a mirror of primal creation field. first creation physics, a cosmic womb of pure consciousness, the still point, the Manu, which all frequency manifest fields emerge from. And this primal sound field, which New Agers call an ascended master, down steps all the way through the Cathara grid, primal sound, primal light, 15, 14, 13 dimension, the upper 7 heavens, into 12, and it down steps to 9, 6, 3, all the way down to 2 in the Cathara center, which is the sacral chakra, which is the multi-dimensional biological womb. Real quick. Doctors, healers, health professionals, you do not need another certification. What you need is a signature program and the right system to help you scale it. In a free webinar, I share with you the free AI tool that helps you build your 8-week signature course and the exact playbook that I use to impact millions of souls and build a 7-figure business. So if this resonates, in the show notes below, you can watch the free webinar. I'll see you inside the free webinar where we will literally build your signature course together. Check it out. Embodiment is something invisible becoming expressed through something physical. So this invisible spirit, this mysterious spirit through the divine void. So spirit becomes and merges with dark matter, which science is just starting to understand. Dark matter, darkness is not bad. Darkness is the void, the divine mother, the Manu, the still point of eternal peace, pre-matter. So the spirit, eternal spirit, merges with eternal dark matter, the divine mother, the still point. And from there, it downsteps through the Cathara grid to the sacred multidimensional womb, the void. And so I once knew a man, shout out Bill, who spent one whole year merging with the void. It's pre-matter. It's eternal. It's not bad. Darkness is not bad. It holds it all. The Divine Mother, the 13. And this energy, which is so powerful, has been systematically, purposefully attempted to be suppressed, repressed, and manipulated. And the story of the two primary archetypes, Mary, Mother Mary, and Magdalene, who hold this divine energy, twisted to separate this multidimensional, sensual, powerful, multidimensional sexuality, most powerful creative force, chakra number 2, from its body. To the point now where women have to cover their face, cannot be ordained as ministers, are objectified, are called certain names if they dare integrate, consecrate, and stand in the original spiritual authority and power and multidimensional, sacred, powerful priestess. 100% human, 100% divine. And today we're going to dive into these archetypes. What happened? Why did it happen? But more importantly, what is the original eternal perspective? And so the womb is the key as it downsteps in, and the woman begins to feel safe. And when the woman begins to feel safe, literally gate number 1, which is the clitoris, which was specifically designed to create this eternal consciousness ecstasy, a multidimensional sacred receptor of sensuality, right? And when it's touched with love and the woman feels safe, literally it begins to spread this eternal conscious ecstasy, pleasure of creative force, which is the most powerful creative force from chakra 2, begins to spread through the fluids and spread through the nervous system. And it's not just sensual, it's subtle multidimensional energy begins to be spread all around the blood, the nervous system, the fascia, the lymphatic system. The nervous system begins to light up with eternal conscious ecstasy, and gate 1 begins to open. And then if you reach behind there and the woman continues to feel safe, right behind there, there's another point, gate number number 2. And if the woman continues to feel safe and loved, you can begin to open up gate 2, which will then begin to magnetize the pelvic floor of the divine feminine, and the grid becomes to be magnetized with this magnetic force more powerful than an atomic bomb that can create a baby. The most powerful creative force in the universe. And this begins to magnetize, and it begins to sacred fluids, which is sacred, begins to come out. And then if they choose, gate 3 is open. And then at that point, if there's a penetration that begins, the rod and the staff come together and they form a stargate opening tool, which was what Excalibur is. Excalibur was a stargate opening tool. So men, yes, your lingam is a stargate opening tool, and the womb, the key and the lock, when it fits, it begins to open a multi-dimensional portal between dimension 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, your soul, 7, 8, 9, your oversoul, 10, 11, 12, your avatar inner Christos self, all the way to 13, 14, 15, your Rishi self, all the way up to the primal light and sound, the 7 upper heavens, all the way up to first creation physics. And that first creation physics specific mechanics is mirrored in the womb. And then if you choose at the point of climax to take that most powerful creative force in the world, gate 1 open, gate 2 open, gate 3 open, boom, and you bring it up, all the cells release this, the same force that creates universes and galaxies released from all 40 trillion cells, and literally where attention goes, energy flows and it grows, and you bring it up from the second chakra all the way up the throne of God, the spine, and you see it in your third eye. If your eye is full of light, your whole body will have sight. And at that moment, you see anything you want to create, a new earth, a new decentralized system, a new eternal life lineage for humanity. You see it, feel it, and then you bring it into your heart and third eye, and you exhale, use it, and move it into your auric field through your breath. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And then at that point, the higher identity, which the gate is open, comes down, and it literally begins to manifest and materialize higher identity accretion, sacred energy exchange. And that was the whole point and original creation of sex. And if you've never experienced it, then this sounds like gibberish. So my invitation to you is to set the intention to experience it. And in Morocco, for like 10 years, I had that desire. And then I just started doing work. I started, pumping Kundalini, doing breath work, doing yoga, hot yoga every day. I became a Christian youth pastor, loving kindness meditation, eternal wisdom found me. And I started doing the techniques and all these things. And then eventually I forgot about it. And I just started living my life and just waking up every morning, praying for the liberation of all sentient beings. Show me what to see, tell me what to do. And eventually I forgot about women at all. And I just started serving my mission. Boom. Here comes my wife. It's crazy how we met. And she's been doing her work. I've been doing my work. We don't need each other. There's no lack. And then it was this interesting flow of energy where it's like, okay, cool. Like for 1 year, we sat, and every 2 hours every Sunday, we did what is called shadow vows, where transparent communication, where she would tell me everything about her, especially everything she doesn't want me to know. I tell her everything about me, everything I don't want. It's like church. Nothing hidden, everything in the light. Love is truth. Truth is love. True love is not blind. Source love embraces all. Eyes wide open, heart resolute, principle firm. And we started to get to know each other. And eventually it was like, oh, okay, let's take trips together, right? And so long story short, there was a trip that we took together, and it started becoming, this desire started reigniting within me to experience higher identity accretion through sacred energy exchange. And so there was a day when we were in Morocco, and she arrived, and we did a ceremony. We opened the portal through Source River Frequencies, prayer of eternal sanctification. We opened gate 1, gate 2, gate 3, and literally, it's crazy. Like I literally became a rod, the divine masculine, holding the frequency, holding steady. Nothing was going to move me. A foundational structure. And in that foundational structure, the feminine can dance, the feminine can move, the feminine can express, the feminine can feel. And in that multidimensional opening and ceremonial sacred energy exchange, both of our consciousnesses literally went to a 13-dimensional healing temple. And when we came back, we looked at each other and we're like, that was sacred. Did you go? Yes. Did you go? Yes. And we just knew without a shadow of a doubt, love is the answer. It's love. Not only did we know it, we felt it in a 13-dimensional healing temple. And that feeling, once you know, you cannot know. So it's what's called when your consciousness leaves and it comes back with codes. So you're never the same. That's higher identity accretion. And for those who follow along, yes, 13 dimension, Rishi self. And in that template, literally, my wife's 15-dimensional, there's those parts of her template that were activated. And I'm sure mine as well. And then I want to come back to when the woman feels safe and loved, which men, for us, yes, with so much compassion and so much for what we've been through as well, to heal. Because when we heal and when we integrate and when we forgive and we can hold all these parts, then that energy can flow to our wives and our women, and they can feel safe and this connection, higher identity, and then it will overflow to our children. The womb becomes a sacred portal between the invisible and visible, between consciousness and physical creation, the multidimensional sacred womb. And according to the MCEO teachings, the true function of the womb is to act as an interdimensional bio portal and scalar frequency generator. Let that sink in. A multidimensional portal and scalar frequency generator is its original function. It was designed to literally generate and birth D12 avatar inner Christos Sophia children. So it's in its intended form, the multidimensional womb is capable of stepping down 12-dimensional Maharata current and primal sound and light currents into the physical biological vessel. Do you know how exciting that is? When one 12th level avatar child is born, the impact that can have on humanity. According to the Kalantic science teachings, the last 12th level avatar was Jeshua 12, not the biblical Jesus. And when a 12th level avatar is born, embodied, the impact it can have on humanity is limitless. And that's exciting because every single sacred womb is a portal for exactly that. The womb serves as a non-distorted gateway for high-frequency avatar soul incarnational entry, spatial telekinesis, and core elemental manifestation. It's sacred. It's an active electrotonal scalar field that encodes incoming soul over soul avatar divine blueprint fields. The womb was never designed to be a garbage dump for external emotional trauma, toxic karmic implants, or chaotic sexual energy from unaligned partners. Gate 1, the clitoris is a multidimensional spark plug, a place where physical sensation and subtle energy meets to receive and distribute higher frequency currents through the body's energetic circuitry, which connects the sexual creative life force energy, which the larger multidimensional creative energy system of the temple, the body. So the clitoris is a sacred multidimensional gateway between body, energy, and consciousness. And the divine dark feminine has been misunderstood by a lot of us. And according to the Kalantic science perspective, the divine dark is a Manu. It's the sacred void, the still point of eternal peace, the primal unmanifest eternal life, static consciousness field from which all matter emerges. It holds the raw, primal, unpolarized power of divine creation and stillness. and in its deepest, most embodied form, its deep rest, infinite, eternal potential, the womb, the void, pre-manifestation, and the Divine Mother holds all of her children. All matter is birthed from the Divine Mother. Do you see why certain institutions would want to try to cut off the Divine Mother's true from the body and insert an intermediary? And so for a long time, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the second chakra of humanity, the Divine Mother of humanity, the sacred multidimensional womb of humanity, has been attempted to be inverted into Metatronic reverse spin, anti-life scalar grid overlays, which express in 3D reality as sexual misery programming, guilt and shame trauma loops, parasitic energy extraction, and the true restoration and resurrection requires not the repressing or suppressing, but the embracing, the integration of the unmanifest dark, the silent, the still point of eternal peace, the Manu, the Divine Mother, restoring the sacred dark as the nourishing, protective womb of creation prior to light manifestation. And so what does this even look like practically? For the last 3,000 years, there's been this Manu from the still point emerges the Mane, the electric masculine force, and then the era, the magnetic feminine force, but it comes from the Manu, which is the divine feminine, which is omnipolar. It can be anything, pre-matter. And for a long time, society has glorified and honored and given energy exchange for the masculine electric energy. Statistical, accomplish, do something, decide now, produce more, post more, keep moving, don't stop. And there's been this patriarchal imbalance, which has forced the divine feminine to move from its magnetic, emotional, to have to try to keep up to survive. And this imbalance has occurred, while the whole time, the thing that can hold it both, the divine feminine, the void, the Divine Mother, has been attempted to be eliminated, extinguished. And the invitation to myself and to us is to find that balance again. To start with stillness. Don't immediately try to fill the empty space. Become so still enough to discover what actually wants to emerge. So think about a musician. There's a silence before the first note. And that's not useless. The silence holds the possibility of every single note that could possibly be played. And once the musician plays the note, then the possibility becomes expressed. And that void and silence, pre-music, is the static womb of creation from which all creation emerges. And so think of it like gestation before manifestation. Manu, still point of eternal peace. And practically speaking, what does that look like? You guys all know. You guys have all been there. You're in a situation, you're in a group, you're playing, or you're like whatever, and there's like this awkward silence. The unknown. And people who have not embraced the Manu, people who do not trust the unknown, people who do not understand the still point of eternal peace, which was me. Sometimes it's still me. Like they get awkward. Something's supposed to be happening. Something's supposed to be like we're supposed to. No, but the longer you can stay with that stillness, pre-sound, from there, all possibilities, no judgment, omnipolar, Manu, Divine Mother, anything can emerge. What wants to emerge will eventually emerge if that point is held. Gestation before manifestation. So let's look into the two archetypes of the divine feminine, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. What happened? The two archetypes that are supposed to or are revered in churchianity and religiosity, what happened? Let's look at the two archetypes humanity inherited. Mother Mary. This is just perspective, by the way. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Holy because she is imagined as sexually untouched, a virgin birth. So what happens when the church elevates as an archetype and holy figure because she did not have sex? She was a virgin, therefore she's holy, and promotes that archetype as a holy example. Or, on the flip end, Mary Magdalene. She was sexual, and therefore a whore. Jesus had to cast 7 demons out of her. So here's a split. Holy woman or sexual woman? Mother or lover? Purity or pleasure? Spirit or body? So Mother Mary signifies the restoration of the holiness of embodiment and the womb. Mary Magdalene restores the holiness of embodied feminine sexuality and spiritual authority, and the truth will set us free. Mary Magdalene was powerful. She was holy, embodied, feminine, sexual, and spiritual authority all in one. So in 591 AD, Pope Gregory I helped popularize the idea that Mary Magdalene and Mary of Bethany and the unnamed sinful woman were the same person. So this was popularized through a sermon by Pope Gregory, an interpretation that created a lasting image of Magdalene as a repentant sexual sinner. So the truth is that Magdalene was actually a spiritually authoritative, sexually integrated, powerful high priestess woman. And through that one sermon, history was changed as she was transformed through the one interpretation and perspective into a sexually sinful woman who requires redemption from masculine divinity. And so the eternal life material characterizes her as powerful, sensual, sexual, embodied, loving, wild, free, embodied, intimate, courageous, sexually integrated, spiritually authoritative, loyal, powerful, and free. And so the question becomes, can the divine feminine embodiment carry spiritual authority? And when we slow down and we really tune in and we regain proper perspective, we realize Magdalene is not the fallen woman kneeling beneath the Christ, but the embodied, divine, feminine partner standing beside the inner Christos. Just as important, just as powerful, just as spiritually authoritative. She was not simply a woman following Jesus. She was his wife and the mother of their 3 children. Magdalene deeply understood Yeshua and occupied a primary position within the inner circle. She was a high priestess who understood the alchemy of sacred energy exchange. She worked energetically side by side with Yeshua in support of their mission. Their relationship was not male spiritual master and subordinate female follower. It was male and female spiritual partners, synergizing, participating together in a mission. Her purpose was not romantic. Magdalene participated within an inner spiritual mission structure, which was associated with advanced grid work, rainbow round tables, and Earth's Stargate system. They were not just a spiritual community. And when I say them, John the Baptist, Joshua 12, Magdalene, they were a planetary repair team. Magdalene stood inside the mission as a primary anchor, not outside. She was a carrier of inner teachings. She represented direct spiritual knowing. She embodied that a relationship with Source does not depend on an institution standing between the individual and the divine. Magdalene is a powerful, sensual, sexual, embodied, living, wild, free embodiment of the divine feminine high priestess, advanced planetary grid worker, deeply integrated with her sexuality and spirituality, powerful. And the restoration and resurrection becomes when we as men are able to see, feel, and hear the power of the divine feminine, unapologetic, wild, and free, without wanting anything from them, without needing anything from them, and able to embody the authority and the power to hold the structure steady, to allow them to once again dance, be free, express, share, preach. And the restoration then is embodied woman, sexual woman, spiritually powerful woman is this exact same woman. And divine feminine, rise up now. It's time to sit on your throne now. Been stealing your life far too long now. Pachamama crying out now. The divine feminine, rise up. It's your time to shine. And not in a way that is belittling to men, but in a way that is integrated, embodied. Spirit, body, sexuality, divine feminine power, the most powerful creative force in the universe, the multidimensional womb, embodied, intimate, courageous, sexually integrated, authoritative, loyal, powerful, free, which carries a steadfastness, remaining present through darkness, rather than abandoning what she knew. And Joshua 9 and Magdalene, according to Voyagers 2, had 3 children. They were exiled to France. He was not crucified. And the Christ avatar lines continue through genetic family lines. Magdalene, therefore, not peripheral to the continuation of the lineage. The divine feminine body carried the continuation of the mission. And humanity inherited 2 polarized archetypes. Mother Mary, holy because she was imagined to be sexually untouched. And just tune in to how that has created a pattern for certain spiritual women to believe that being separated from their sexuality is holy. And Mary Magdalene, sexual and therefore imagined or written off as fallen. And the truth is not that. The truth is that you are it all. Holy, sexual, mother, lover, pure, pleasure, spirit, body. And now we're in this beautiful invitation state where the word coming through is embodiment. Embody it all. You can have it all. You are it all. No bad parts. And the divine feminine no longer has to mutilate herself in order to become sacred. In the womb, sexuality, pleasure, love, motherhood, spiritual intelligence, source connection is all integrated and embodied. And Magdalene is not the fallen woman kneeling beneath the Christ. She becomes the embodied divine feminine standing beside the Christ, the Christos, Sophia, and the inner Christos reclamation mission is on like Donkey Kong. and it's resurrection time, and authentic expression is the resurrection. And the message that many of us are hearing is embodiment, embodiment, embodiment. And that happens, practically speaking, as we sit together with our parts. And no more suppressing or repressing. We determine to have the courage to sit with the discomfort as the parts come up to be healed, to be revealed. What we reveal, we feel, we heal. And then the divine feminine returns to her throne when the womb, the body, sexuality, wisdom, and source are no longer separated, but are sacredly integrated. So perhaps the deepest distortion was never what humanity was taught about the womb, sexuality, Mary or Magdalene. Maybe it was a separation itself, body from spirit, sexuality from holiness, darkness from divinity, and feminine power from spiritual authority. An authentic embodied expression is the resurrection. The sacred womb is a multi-dimensional sacred portal of creation, which holds pain and pleasure, which holds 12th level avatar Christos Sophias. The divine feminine dark holds the infinite potential. The holy body, the temple, is a sacred space where the invisible becomes visible. Mary is sacred embodied motherhood. Magdalene is sensual, powerful, tender, embodied, divine feminine wisdom, and the feminine no longer has to mutilate herself in order to become sacred, and the divine feminine returns to her throne, which is so necessary. When the womb, the body, sexuality, wisdom, and source are no longer separated in order to be called sacred. And my invitation to us men is to take a nice, slow, deep breath into the root, into the second chakra and first chakra. Feel your holy lingam, feel your perineum, and breathe into it, the point of safety, the point of creative power. And feel your power, primal. And breathe one more breath into that perineum and second chakra, your lingam. And my invitation is together to determine, to intend, to hold steady the frequency, the structure, without needing, without lusting, without wanting, without repressing, without suppressing, without dominating, without fighting, without competing, to hold steady the structure, the intention, the steadiness of the embodied divine masculine that will not and cannot be moved from the eternal sacred law of one and love. And to continue this week to breathe into that sacred space and to hold firm that intention. Whether I live, whether I die, I will not be moved. I will no longer give my power away. But true power is love. And anything that is not love cannot and will not stand in this field with no force necessary. And as we do that, and as we embody that, and as we integrate that, this frequency begins to generate of safety, of integrated dark masculine, and this ability to hold steady, to see everything with no judgment. True love is not blind. And in that space, the divine feminine gets the message and the frequency that they're safe. We can hold it all. And then they begin to come back into the sacred, divine, feminine, embodied, sensual, sexual, dark feminine integrated, playful, powerful, emotional, wise, most powerful creative force in the universe, which can hold a 12th level avatar. The balance begins to come back from the era, feminine, the electric masculine, back into the 13, the Manu, the divine feminine, void. And we begin to find the divine feminine 13, divine mother of all, pre-matter, the darkness, the void, the still point. And the longer we stay there together, what wants to emerge will gradually, naturally emerge. And what begins to emerge is healed families. What begins to emerge is free women. What begins to emerge is integrated men. What begins to emerge from that is safe family environments and structures for our children. What begins to emerge from there is New Earth educational centers. What begins to emerge from there is conscious, decentralized networks, all interconnected like a mycelial network underneath the earth, all interconnected, all sharing, all integrated into the eternal sacred law of one. And what begins to emerge from that stillness effortlessly, a new eternal life lineage for humanity. Thy kingdom, queendom come. Thy will be done. In the womb, in the lingam, in the perineum, in the root, in the armpit of my body, of humanity, the eternal life tribe, as it is in the highest heavens. Divine feminine, rise up now. It's time to sit on your throne now. Been stealing your life far too long now. Pachamama, crying out now. Divine feminine, rise up. And these tribes, they had these councils of 13 divine feminine elders. Elder is not just age. And that encryption, as is arising within the eternal life tribe, so many divine Lemurian priestesses are remembering. But there's like another layer. There's a lot of blue flame Melchizedek's remembering the eternal life tribe. And there's a lot of Lyrans remembering in the eternal life tribe. But beyond that, there's this inner unspeakable knowing emerging, that there was this system before, an infrastructure, and the divine feminine integrated dark, able to hold the grief, able to hold it all, with that most powerful force in the world, the love of a divine mother for her child. And when 13 of them came together, they held the core frequency for the tribe. And they would decide who would go out to war. They would decide who was coming over for dinner. They would decide. I know, man, we're not going to like this one. The control of the finance. Because they were coming from this place of love. And that is the most powerful healing technology in the universe. So my invitation to us men is to have grace, first of all, for where we've been, and to really begin to intend and breathe and know what's this certainty. Though I live, though I die, I will not be moved from my core, from my power, which is love. I will no longer sacrifice my truth for the sake of fake peace. I will no longer lose my temper. I will have tact, discernment, embodied power, and wisdom. And as I do that, I will learn and intend to hold the beauty, the magnificence, the sensuality, the sexuality, the emotionality, the grounded spiritual authority, intuitive wisdom of the divine feminine, so that she can dance, sing, and heal Mother Earth alive again. Come back into balance. All right, beautiful souls. If you resonate, I want to invite you to check out the Eternal Life Tribe. There'll be a link. It's around 4,000 of us, and we're forming small groups, talking circles, and a core group to learn how to love each other. All of it. So we're excited to roll that out. And so if you feel called, feel free to check it out. All right, beautiful souls. Love, light, peace, and truth to all sentient beings. I'll see you guys next week. Have a beautiful week.